Hi, Yudia. I'm so
Hello.
excited to talk to you today. You are a fabulous person. Instead of introducing you, I would love for you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background. And I love what you have on the Index website, which is you describe the team as fashion industry insiders challenging the status quo. Tell us a little bit about you and how you came to challenge the status quo with what you're building now.
Sure. And thank you, Abby, for having me today. You and I grab coffee all the time, so it's also very nice to be able to connect like this today. Um, Great. So a little bit about myself. I'm Edie Campbell, founder of Index. I've been building Index for over 3 years. Prior to building Index, I spent my entire career in the fashion space. Actually started out as investment banking, which Credit Suisse no longer exists. Very sad. Uh, and really leverage my kind of experience in finance, eventually work for Gap Inc. on the strategy side of things for about 6 years. Um, and when I say that we're industry insiders, as I said, I spent my entire career in the fashion space. My co-founder as well, so Devin, I met Devin when both her and I were working at Gap Inc. together on the strategy team. She then moved on to become chief of staff, head of customers for Quiana, which is a San Francisco-based fashion brand. So really for both Devin and myself, felt like we learned a lot working in fashion, really understood the pain point that's sort of plaguing the industry. At the same time, we are, we experience fashion in a very personal way. We think about what to wear every day. We purchase a lot of apparel. We try to resell a lot of apparel, and every day we're trying to figure out what to wear ourselves. So really felt like so really building Index was a combination of sort of what we really believe professionally where the fashion industry could be heading, and also personally, how do we really build a product that really solve our own pain point of getting dressed every day?
Yeah, I love that. And you said in a different interview that I saw that you found your wardrobe to be both overwhelming and underwhelming all at once, which is a statement that I loved and absolutely
Yeah,
resonated with. So
yeah,
say more about that and how your vision, what your vision is for how Index would help with that feeling.
yeah. But that's interesting. I remember saying that, and I was quite proud of myself at the moment when I said it, and I don't really feel like I say that nearly enough these days. So absolutely overwhelming, right? From the perspective of I just had, a lot of us probably just have a lot of items that we've accumulated over the years. And I really do think that in the last 10, 15 years, when e-commerce really just blew up, right? Like you can get anything with one click. You can get anything delivered within 1 or 2 days. The easier shopping became, the more that we all collectively purchased. Right? You can't escape fashion inspiration from Instagram, from TikTok. Every time you look around, there's inspiration everywhere. We're overstimulated, we're over inspired, and as a result, we've all bought quite a bit. And also a lot of times, I do think with shopping online is that sometimes you just forget to return things, right? Because the easier things came to your door, subscription models were also getting really popular. That accumulation also led to sometimes the reality is just that you just didn't have time to return things on time. So our wardrobe is getting very over bloated, and it starts to feel really overwhelming. We just have the sheer number of items. It's a lot. So that's what I mean by super overwhelming. And then on the flip side, the underwhelming part of having a big wardrobe is that when you just have so many things and they're usually folded, shoved to the back of your closet, you're not really, and none of us are really, taking the time to think about what to wear in the most productive way. And let's just all be real, right? None of us are creative enough to make up a fabulous outfit within the 5 minutes that we have to leave the door. So then our wardrobe, there's a lot in there, but we're not really wearing them, and constantly we're just thinking, okay, we don't really know what to wear, and any combination that we can think of on the spot is just not not great. So that causes a feeling of, this is very underwhelming, right? Like, how come I have so many things in my closet, but then at the same time, I'm not stepping out the door feeling really confident and feeling that, feeling my best. So I think that is sort of the paradox of where we are today, right? Having a large wardrobe, but still really constantly feel like there's nothing to wear and feeling very underwhelmed by our closet.
Yeah, it's so true. I've talked before about this idea of like all the friction has been taken out of the shopping experience on the front end and
Yeah.
transferred to the back end. Like it's just like we can get it so quickly. And then, you order multiple sizes, and then all of a sudden you're sitting with like boxes in in
Yeah.
my case, in my living room, being like, all of this has to go back because none of it fits. And
Yes.
it can be so frustrating. So tell me, like,
Yeah.
how's Index addressing that?
Yeah. Before I get there, so what you just said, which is like all of these things have gotten so easy to get into our door, right? And sometimes I do feel, the beauty of a subscription model is that it's very easily gotten through your door. And I think psychologically for a lot of us that once it's through our door, sometimes we don't want to return it because like, yeah, but I might wear it, right? So then the moment you,
Mm-hmm.
you cross the threshold of getting through our door, right? That then and you're touching the item, you're holding it. Sometimes there's a little bit of human in like the human side of us is just kind of like, but maybe I don't want to return it. Maybe I do actually really like it. So I think that also feeds sort of the accumulation of more and more products. But then to get to the question that you just asked, so how does index actually help? The way that we see it is, I think it starts with having visibility into what you own. I think we've all probably noticed that we can't give mind share to the things that are actually not in front of us. So the first thing Index does is we help you digitize your closet into a beautiful digital wardrobe. And I think that is really, really important because at the end of the day, if I really want you to shop within your closet, I need to make your digital wardrobe just as inspirational as a Net-a-Porter website or a Gap website, a Banana Republic website, right? So I think the process of how do you digitize or digitizing a closet to make it beautiful, to make it into a place that you want to scroll around, you want to flip through every day. I think that is quite important. So the first thing that we do is we help you do that. And then from there, we build the digital tools to really help you plan your outfits every day. So whether you want to sit on the couch and do that, whether you want to sit on your commute, right? You're on the train, you're on the bus, you're playing with your digital closet, you're making outfits. I think being able to have that tool and also have the time when you have time versus just the time that you have in your physical closet to be able to separate the planning from the sort of the actual wearing. I think that is important because then it allows you to be a lot more prepared with what you're about to wear. And so we all, I think we can all really relate to going on a trip, right? Before you go on a trip, you start to think about what to pack maybe 2 or 3 weeks in advance, right? And before you just kind of have that packing list in your head. And now we can start to make packing lists on Index, right? So it's a lot more fun to do. It's a lot more tangible. It's a really great planning tool to really help you get ahead and help you feel more prepared. So I think that's really important. And then the last point that we really make sure that we spend a lot of time on from a product standpoint is I do believe that all of us are, we need some help sometimes, right? Our wardrobe is a pretty lonely place. Traditionally, we're just it's just us, alone in our closet. And then, great, I know how to wear this black shirt, but I probably only wear it only with a certain pair of pants, right? Because I've made those combinations. I've made the shortcut to feel like that's easy. But at the end of the day, there might be a couple other combinations that can really elevate, for example, this top. I just don't have time to think about it, or I don't know how to do that. So I think getting a fresh pair of eyes into our closet is really helpful. So this is where the professional styling component comes in. But styling traditionally have been done, a lot with sort of a physical interaction, whereas we're kind of digitized, through a digital wardrobe, we're able to translate that into more of a digital experience, make it more seamless, make it more accessible. So I would say those three things are the big buckets of sort of pillars of what we're really focused on to help you really get the most out of what you already own.
Well, there's a few things that I want to pull on
Yeah,
because one, you mentioned the packing experience, and
yeah.
the packing list or planning phase was my gateway drug into Index. So
That's
I
really good to know.
well, because so my book came out in first in January of 2023,
Yeah,
and I had like maybe 7 events, in
Yeah.
the first several months. It was like such a whirlwind. I was going to Europe, I was going to New York, and in
Yeah.
those, trips, I had to be in many different situations within a short amount of time. But I have this rule that I never check a bag. And so I was really overwhelmed by like, how do I make all these things fit together? And, you also mentioned the stylist experience. In my experience, that was always linked to shopping, right?
Yeah.
I found a personal stylist when I had my second child and was going back
Yeah.
to work at Gap, as you know,
Yep.
very fashionable place.
Yeah.
Like I nothing fit, nothing looked right, and I was desperate. And I hired someone who basically was like,
Yeah.
"Get rid of everything you had before and get a whole new wardrobe." Which
Yeah.
I mean, I sort of ended up doing because I was like, "I don't know. Okay, you tell me."
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
But like both of those things were I had to cobble together with like different
Yeah.
resources, and I didn't
Yeah.
know about Index yet. And so once I learned about Index, and I mean, Index didn't exist, 10
Yeah.
years
There
ago
was
when
no
I had my
index.
son,
Yeah.
there was no Index. So, not my fault there. But, for the packing, like, after that experience of having to go travel, I did work with a packing expert and a stylist who
Okay.
helped me, not on Index, but like once I saw the method that she was using, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I can do this. I just need a better tool
Yep.
than,
Exactly.
what I was using before. So, like, tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about. So I think that's a huge use case, and it's what
Yeah.
ultimately I started using Index for every trip I was
Yeah. Yeah.
taking after that, and then that's what
Yeah.
convinced me to become an insider. Pay,
Yeah.
your subscription model
Yeah.
fee, and then digitize everything. So do you
Yeah.
find that that's the path in for a lot of people, or is that
Yeah.
just my unique strange
Yeah.
experience?
Yeah. Definitely. I would say yes, absolutely. And then I love the way that you said, well, the metaphor, the gateway drug. Um, in a way, right? Because if you think about hacking for trips are special, right? Which is why we were excited about them. They sort of they bookmark our year, right? And so we're excited about them. We make a special effort to pack for them, and also because you got to fit it into a bag, you got to check it onto the plane. So all of that makes kind of packing, a thing, right? But then if you really think about it, the way that we prepare for a trip, if you can get that method down, essentially every day, if you want to look polished, if you want to look, dress, feel your best, you could theoretically do that, or you should be doing that every day, right? Because and then really, what is packing? Packing is simply just preparing, right? Like it's just prep and laying things out. I don't know if you watched the David Beckham or the Beckham family documentary last year on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
David Beckham even admitted that he outfit plans. Well, I'm sure he doesn't do it. Someone else does it for him. That there's a rack in his bedroom, and it's like what he wears throughout the week, right? Because that's just we're all human, right? That's just a level of preparation, basic preparation that we need in order to get dressed in the morning. But none of us really do that. We only do it for packing, right? So I love it when you said that it's a gateway to start to feel, oh, like if I just nail down this method, if I have a really great tool, I can actually do this every day, and then not only that I will feel more organized, that I will feel better dressed, and in turn feeling more confident. But also it's actually a ton of fun because really it's a way, at least it's becoming for me, a way to just be super creative with what I own. Um, and I found a lot of joy in that.
Yes. Oh, no, I agree. I mean, we've talked before about how Index has a lot of raving fans on Substack, including me. And in fact, this is a true story. I was at a party last weekend, a friend's birthday party, and I literally pulled out my Index app and was demonstrating it to a friend. And so,
Oh my
I
God,
mean, I'm
thank you.
evangelical about it. But
Yeah,
moving beyond the vision, like I love what
yeah,
you're talking about in terms of the overconsumption piece, because I think we have historically associated, looking put together and being
mhm,
styled with buying more. And
yeah,
I think you're absolutely addressing that. But tell us a little bit more about like how the styling piece works on Index,
yeah,
because
yeah,
that is quite unique in the
yeah.
market.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you kind of already mentioned this a little bit in sort of the story about you hiring a stylist, wanting, different pieces, but really styling has traditionally been pretty synonymous with shopping, right? So if we think about and and at the end of the day, it's not that every stylist wants to help you buy new things, right? I think we all, but then the reality is, without really knowing what you own, the only thing that they could kind of do with you is to say, hey, let's go for a shopping trip together, right? So knowing that, I think the fact that now we can digitize our closet and make that digital wardrobe super accessible, right? So for example, Index has an open closet feature, which is, via a web link, you can actually share your closet with anyone and they can view your closet. And that just really changes the dynamic of how a stylist can possibly style. Because now, rather than them saying, or you have to send photos or even get on a Zoom call and start waving your
Which
blazer in
I've
front of
done
them,
before.
which
Yep.
you've done before.
Yeah.
Everyone's done that. And when I talk to stylists, they're like, oh, we don't enjoy that because we don't have a full picture, right? And without having a full picture, it's really difficult to do styling sessions that way. So now through kind of Index, whether you are a stylist working on the Index platform or even just a stylist using Index sort of as a separate reference, you're able to have that full visibility into your client's closet. And that just builds so much understanding because, I'm sure you have too, right? We've taken endless style surveys where they ask you, what is your style? What is the size of what size pants do you wear? What size top do you wear? What is your favorite color? All of a sudden, if you just have access to my digital wardrobe, right, like my open closet, you don't have to ask me those questions. And honestly, if you were to ask me to say what my style is, I don't have the words. I think a lot of people actually really struggle to sort of uh, translate their style or be able to succinctly describe their style in words. So I think so bridging that gap through a digital wardrobe, I think is really, really, really powerful. And that is a foundation of styling. And then on top of that, right, the moment you have access to someone's closet, you're able to actually give advice on how to dress and how to wear something versus simply making product recommendations. And I think that is the second thing that becomes a lot more powerful. And also, it just builds so much trust with your client. Because oftentimes, when you're working with a stylist, they make you a recommendation. Your instant reaction is, I already have that. And that's an awkward moment for you and also for the stylist, right? And then I think a lot of times the styling sessions don't work well. There's no repeat business. It's also because the client or you as a client might not feel like the stylist had your best interest in mind because you're like, oh, well, they recommended things I already own. But it's not the stylist's fault because they didn't know that you actually own that, right? So I think, again, having that digital closet is able to allow the stylist to actually become a more creative, become more intentional, and give you more real styling advice versus just simple shopping recommendations sort of at the surface level. So I think overall, and then what we found is that it delivers a better experience both for the clients, also for the stylist, and it really builds that it makes the longer term relationship a lot more genuine, a lot more productive, and it's a win-win for everybody. So I think that is sort of the second thing that I think is really, really important. Again, it goes back to having this digital record of what you own, and not only just having that record, but also making it really accessible by everybody simply just through a web link.
Yeah, no, I think it's so brilliant. And I also struggle with the three-word method or like how exactly do I describe myself? Like,
Yeah.
honestly, I am running from, you know, kid related things to, presenting on stages to like
Yep.
volunteer events. So it's really hard. And I mean, sometimes I manage to find the perfect outfit that fits all of those contexts, but
Yeah.
sometimes, it's different. So I think like having the record to be able to share with
Yeah.
someone is so brilliant.
Yeah.
But I want to, like you mentioned being, well, go ahead. And then I have another
Oh, I
question.
was just gonna say you said that. Like, sometimes you find that perfect outfit, right? And I share that feeling because I remember years ago, you're in a rush, right? And you're like, oh, I feel really good today in this outfit. But then without index, there's no record of it. You didn't write it down, right? And then
Did it
I think
even
what's
happen? Yeah.
did it even well, is it even happening if I didn't have a selfie of it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, so then so it's one of those things where, again, going back to the underwhelming thing that we talked about, right? Which is like we're constantly recreating the wheel, right? And we're all just so busy. So then I think another beauty of having a sort of a us having a digital closet is just that we can stop the negative cycle of constantly reinventing the wheel. If this outfit makes me look amazing, I can literally wake up in the morning, it's right there, and then I'm like, great, wearing this today, and then I know that I feel good in it. So I think that's another thing of having that digital record, right? And then again, when you go to a stylist or even your friend can style you on Index. Your friend will see that this is your favorite outfit, and instantly they get your vibe. They're like, "Oh, Edie or Abby felt good in this outfit. I know where she's trying to like what she's trying to achieve with her style." And then now I can add a lot more value, really focus on delivering against that. So I think so that's another. I think again that record, whether it's an outfit, it's an item, it's just so important.
No, it's true. And I've been writing a series of posts on building a deliberate closet. And
Yeah,
I've been vocal about how Index is helping me with that. And one of my daily habits is now logging my outfit on Index.
yeah,
I did not upload everything to the app immediately. That was like too
yeah.
overwhelming for me. And so I just thought I can log an outfit every day and
Every day, yes,
that will give me data on
yeah,
like what percentage of my wardrobe am I actually
yeah,
wearing at the end
yeah,
of however long here time
yeah.
period. But so can you talk to us about tell me about your habits when it comes to your closet and your life, especially as a parent of two young
Yeah,
kids and as a founder, like they could be wardrobe related, they could be non-wardrobe related, but like tell
yeah,
us about your habits.
yeah. Oh, it's interesting. I recently went to a founders retreat, and there were about 20 women in the room, and then we kind of went around and talked about our wellness hack, and I was one of the last ones to go. And by the time it got to me, everybody's already talked about sleep, exercise, journaling, breathing, everything was covered. So I sat there, I'm like, okay, what can I possibly say? That's one thing that I do that I actually found it as a part of my well-being. And then it came to me, and I'm like, guys, this might sound super cliche, and I'm not trying to push for Index, but I'm just saying, like, logging my closet every day, I've actually brought a lot, like, logging what I wear every day, I've actually brought a lot of peace to like the chaos of that's my wardrobe, right? And I think about what to wear all the time, which is why I do what I do, and it's brought me a lot of peace. So I do that every day. The other thing that I do, and then this is goes into kind of maybe the overconsumption piece, is that before I buy something, I kind of load it into Index. We have a wish list feature, so it's separated from your closet. And then
Ooh, I
I
don't know
try to
about
kind
that
of
feature. I'm gonna have to use that.
yes. And then you can make outfits. So I think so many times that you're trying to figure out whether something really fits into your closet. And I can't tell you the amount of times I will load an item into my closet, and then you know that if you're an insider, you can actually change your index into a bird's eye view, right? So you can see seven across, basically your entire closet really easily. And the moment you load it in, you're like, oh, this does not go with my like I can already see it, right? So that's helpful, right? Because I think a lot of us are very visual, and just kind of seeing, when you're building, when you're getting better and better at building kind of a cohesive closet that is easy to wear. A lot of people subscribe to the capsule wardrobe method. Then like when something might not fit as well, I think is you start to train yourself to be able to tell pretty quickly. And then if you still can't, then I try to make a couple outfits with it. And then, I would say as I'm making outfits, if I continue to get really excited about it, then great. I think it deserves to be added to my wardrobe. But if I'm making outfits and I continue to kind of question, you start having like alarm bells, and you're like, I want to kind of avoid the return because there's a lot of churn, right? Like for everyone, then maybe it's not for me. So I think just having that extra moment to pause, and then to kind of bring it into your closet to try to be creative with it, I think has helped me definitely avoided some of the purchases that I probably would have returned anyway. But to just reduce that churn from the very beginning.
Oh, I love that. Well, I'm going to start using that. My issue
Yeah,
is like I buy multiples of things in different
yeah,
colors.
yeah.
And like they're not, the best description that I heard is that like every piece in your closet is a puzzle. And if you're buying that same item in a different color, you're basically just adding the same puzzle piece. And
Yes,
so I
yeah,
I need to like do a little wish list experimentation if I'm
yeah,
like thinking of buying the same
yeah,
shoes or pants in another
yeah,
color to do a little bit of outfit creating me like
yeah,
is this actually adding anything or is it
yeah.
just going to be creating more choice which is not always as helpful
Yeah,
as
yeah.
you
You know
think.
what? I used to do the exact same thing. I will always buy in two. Because again, right, it's you're like, oh, I'm adding choice for myself. But then now that I know, because I'm tracking what I'm wearing, I'm always wearing more, so much more than the other. So the second one, the second color that I bought is actually probably unnecessary. And then I start to think about from a monetary standpoint, right? So let's just say if I'm buying two of the same item, and then I usually like to wait for a good sale to buy it. But at the end of the day, I'm probably spending full price anyway because I bought two of them, even if one was 50% off. So then, like, is it really worth it? I might as well just get the one that I really want when you, right? Like, I don't know.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
also, you start to do girl math, people call it in your head also.
But yeah, well, the cost per wear metric, I mean, don't even get me started. I'm so obsessed
Yeah,
with that you calculate that, for us within the app.
yeah,
But I wanna actually end by asking you about, something a little bit different because I
yeah.
write about decision making. And one of the biggest decisions you and I both made was to leave our corporate jobs at,
Mhm.
a well-known brand. We were in some
Yeah,
of the same meetings together for,
yes,
the uncertain future of a path that
yeah.
was not charted for us. And I'm curious if you had one aha moment or if you had a series of smaller clarifying moments. How did you
Yeah.
know when it was time to leave and start Index?
Yeah. That's a great question. For me, I think I think it's a combination. I'm kind of like my mind is racing. Um, I feel okay. Let's try it. I feel like it was a combination of two things. The one was the life stage that I was in. So I know that you talk about that in your book as well. So I was at a point where I had just had my first child, and it was right after COVID. And then I was coming off maternity leave, and then I was coming back to work. And then right, work was just different because we all had to figure out how to work from home. And also and lots of pressure, right? And Athleta at the time was also, growing brand. We're trying to figure out how to get to the next stage. Um, by selling us more pants. Anyway, so right, and then for me, and right, so at work, we've done enough research. I have been thinking about the concept of index and really sort of being at work made me kind of felt like, well, I'm like, okay, well, I know that, we all feel underwhelmed of our closets because we don't have enough pants. It's actually because we don't spend enough time to think about what we own, actually how to wear the things that we already own. But then, right, so, but then, and then so it was feeling that way already, which kind of led me. So in a way, you could say I'm starting to have more and more conviction in what I want to build. Because and I think I always consider myself lucky in the sense that I'm building in an area that I have deep personal expertise. I'm very good at shopping. Right?
And you
So
are very
that
stylish, I will say. You can't see your
um,
whole outfit, but every time I see you,
well,
I'm like, man,
I'm
you
wearing
are.
my trusted Athleta pants right now, even though I'm like, we don't need more Athleta pants, but I'm like, I'm still wearing
But
them.
here you are.
Here I am, still wearing them 6 years later.
Well, I
They're
have a
great.
Gap shirt on, so old habits
Exactly.
die
See,
hard. It's
we
yeah.
well, I'm glad that we all work for brands that we really love. So I would say I felt like I had enough conviction, right? Because of the like the first I can, this is me. I personally really understand the problem. And then professionally, I was working in strategy, right? This is my bread and butter, is to figure out what is the white space in the industry and how can we build and fill that gap, right? Through a new business model or new technology. So I felt like that conviction piece was I was getting more and more confident. I think that made making that decision a little bit easier. But then the other piece really is, I had a young child, right? This is coming back off maternity leave. Just really felt if I, this is gonna sound super just cliche, it's like felt like I'm gonna spend this much time away from family. I really want to work on something that I'm really passionate about. And again, linking that to the more and more conviction I had in index, I feel like the combination of those two things made the decision somewhat palatable. It was still super scary. But then I think the last straw was I had a very supportive husband and also parents who I know that I'm Chinese. My Chinese parents are always like, "Are you sure you want to quit your stable job?" But my parents were very encouraging. They were actually initial angel investors. So yeah, I think that supportive network was also really important, to feel like you're making a big decision, that it could be a good one, and then have the courage to actually make it.
I love that so much. Well, thank you for sharing so much of your wisdom with us. And you are an inspiration to me, and I know will be to so many more people who have the chance to watch this and to listen to you. So thank you for what you're doing, and I'm excited to share more about Index with the readers of Practically Deliberate.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Abby. It's always a great conversation, and I really appreciate your support.
Absolutely. All right. Take good care.
All right, bye.
Bye.